Some objects bring nothing but tragedy, from haunting paintings to deadly jewels. History is full of items that leave a trail of misfortune. Are they truly cursed, or is it just bad luck? We're going to break down some of the most infamous cursed objects in history and the people who suffered because of them. Nick, it's Cursed Objects here on MKUSUAL. His pen is cursed. I've always wondered if this shows up on camera.
Oh.
Or if it's a trick of the eyes.
The fact that your pen is made out of rubber.
I'm sure we had 10,000 views for the first minute, and now okay.
Here's when I knew I was autistic.
We lost them.
The first time someone did that, they're like, "Do you want to see a rubber pencil?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. That's weird. I would like to see that." And they did that. I was like, "No, it's made out of wood." They're like, "No." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's a
figure of speech.
It's the same pencil you used all of class, and then it's made out of wood."
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say you're being a little harsh on yourself, but
couldn't fool me.
Couldn't fool him. Oh, hello,
Daisy.
All right, let's start with the Hope Diamond. The Hope Diamond, the gem that brings ruin. What is it? A 45 to 52 carat blue diamond, one of the most famous gems in the world. It's said to bring financial ruin, misfortune, and even death to its owners.
R.I.P. Jack.
I gotta... Yeah, that's a cursed item. I gotta say, buying a 45 carat diamond, probably not a great financial decision to begin with. Whatever argument you're in, you think the Hope Diamond is going to get you out of, it's probably the thing that's causing your eventual death. Here's some notable victims. John Baptiste Tavernier in the 17th century allegedly stole the diamond from India. Soon after, he was torn apart by wild dogs.
Yo,
that is a cursed death.
That would be unimaginable pain and horror.
What was going on in London?
Guess where it's at now.
I'm gonna put up a picture of this guy because he looks like a guy who he looks like what you would look like after you were torn apart by wild dogs.
That would be the face I would make.
Wow. Okay.
So wait, okay, this was in London.
Well, I assume. Let's look up where this guy comes from. I feel like there's lots of stuff still. French merchant. Oh yeah, okay. Jean Baptiste. What am I thinking? I just assumed. I heard India and I assumed England. Best known for his 1666 discovery and purchase of the blue diamond. Remarkable cultural anthropologist. Dude, that's a good resume for a guy torn apart by wild dogs.
Your luck's got to run out sometime. Guess where the Hope Diamond is now?
Oh.
Did it come up in your research?
It did.
Okay.
Do you want to just say it? It comes up in like every history episode. It is the Smithsonian Institute.
Yep.
Where it seems to have lost its curse, at least for now. Okay, here's the next owner. Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette.
Oh, okay.
1793,
Classic.
The French king and queen were executed. Some believe their ownership of the diamond contributed to their downfall. I mean, that's a little weak.
It was
of all the shit they did.
It was
the diamond. Evelyn Walsh McLean, 20th century, bought the diamond in 1911. Afterward, her son died in a car crash. Her daughter overdosed, and her husband was institutionalized.
Well, see,
I still say the type of person who would buy a giant diamond.
Those are all behaviors that, with like having that much money you're probably you probably can afford to be a drug addict and a thrill seeker, and you got time for that stuff.
Yeah.
So she was hanging out in the opium den. He bought the fastest Model T and drove it into a tree. And the father was just like probably a normal guy. He was like some kind of steel baron or something, and he's trying to hold his life together, and his family's insane, and his wife stole a bunch of money and bought the Hope Diamond, and they all wanted a piece of it. So yeah, he went fucking crazy trying to run the steel mill.
Yeah. I mean, we go immediately skeptical, but also I do want to point out, though, the Smithsonian says that the curse is broken, but I mean, how's America doing?
It's true.
Since taking ownership. They took ownership in 1958.
Much like King Louis.
So are we better off today than 1958? Much like what?
Much like King Louis and Marie Antoinette, the collapse of the American Empire has nothing to do
with the Hope Diamond.
It is only because of the Hope Diamond.
They stole it from a Hindu temple where it was part of an idol's eye.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. That was my question, is where did it come from?
Does that mean there's a matching diamond? Well, I don't know.
Well, okay. Have you ever seen the stuff that's like, this is a little off topic, but the pharaohs and Buddha, there's like, they all had blue eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And some even allege red or blonde hair. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Interesting. Okay. Well, okay.
Because I can't. Otherwise, I would be calling all Egyptians Caucasian people.
Bradley Cooper?
Yeah. The Last Pharaoh with Bradley Cooper.
Oh.
Anyway.
This says its original owner was supposedly Lord Shiva. The Hope Diamond carries curses to whoever purchased it. Yeah, you probably shouldn't be taking the eyes out of idols.
Just like wearing it while you're at an orgy in the French palace or something. Yeah, that probably frowned upon by the deity that this statue represents.
Probably not okay, here's another famous one. We got 4. The Dybbuk Box. This is one I want to do a full episode on sometime. All right. The Dybbuk Box is a wooden wine box supposedly containing a malevolent spirit from Jewish folklore. Owners report experiencing sickness, hallucinations, nightmares, and terrible luck. I believe the Dybbuk Box was like it had a Holocaust type connection.
Are you sure the malevolent spirit wasn't Mad Dog 2020?
An antique wine cabinet claimed to be haunted by a Dybbuk.
Because that makes me sick and have hallucinations too whenever I drink it.
Writer and furniture refinishing business owner Kevin Manis purchased the cabinet from a yard sale 2003. I got to know what a Dybbuk is. A Dybbuk is Jewish mythology, a malicious possessing spirit believed to be dislocated soul of a dead person. It leaves its host body once it accomplishes its goal, sometimes of being exorcised, after being exorcised. Okay. Dybbuk meaning a case of attachment, which is nominal, derived from the verb to adhere or cling. Okay. The term first appears in 16th century writings. Interesting. Rabbi Yoel Teitelbaum is reported to have supposedly advised an individual said to be possessed to consult a psychiatrist. In psychological literature, the Dybbuk has been described as a hysterical syndrome. Well, here's some people who owned the old Dybbuk Box. I swear there was something about the Dybbuk Box having hair, having like a lock of hair of someone in it, who I guess that person would then be the Dybbuk.
So this could have been like someone tried to capture someone's spirit. It wasn't like
Oh. This says may have been previously owned by a Holocaust survivor whose family did not want the box back due to it being haunted by a Dybbuk. So just the Dybbuk would have inhabited the box during like a very dark time. Interesting. Okay, so let's look at some people. Kevin Manis, 2001, bought the box at an estate sale. His mother suffered a stroke the day he gave it to her as a gift. He experienced hair loss, strange smells, and terrifying nightmares. All right. Let's see here. I want to see if he has... So 2001 is actually pretty recent.
are all the yeah.
You know, have you ever gone on eBay and looked at the haunted doll category?
No.
There's like a fuck ton of haunted dolls on eBay. We should do an episode
We
where
should start selling haunted dolls.
I know. I guarantee you what these people are doing is they're going to thrift stores and reselling the haunted dolls. Jason Haxton, museum director, 2004, purchased the box and soon developed a mysterious illness, suffering from hives, coughing up blood, and inexplicable choking sensations.
So these are all pretty recent.
This is all pretty... Zach Baggins, good old Zach Baggins. My mom's been to that museum from Ghost Adventures 2018. Zach Baggins now owns the box. Here's a hashtag we got to put in this episode. Musician Post Malone touched the box during a visit to the museum, and shortly afterward, he nearly died in a plane malfunction. Was in a car accident and was robbed.
Okay.
There is apparently a number of Dybbuk boxes. Wine cabinets claimed to be haunted by a Dybbuk.
Does that have anything to do with the nature of it being a wine cabinet?
That
Are there
is
other
interesting.
Types of... Are there...
Yeah, I asked Google why is it haunted? But I don't know. It might just be the way it is. A malicious entity, a dead spirit, currently sits behind a glass protective case in reality television stars Zach Baggins' Ghost Adventures Haunted Museum. I want to go. You know what he has at the museum apparently at the entrance and exit is Annabelle.
Oh, from the... Yeah.
Most famous from the movie. But he has the real doll. And apparently they make everybody say hello and goodbye to it. Because if you're rude to the doll, it like follows you home. I want to go be rude to the doll.
There's a... There's a guy on Instagram. I don't know his handle. But he gets like the little voice boxes that pick up the the spirit talking, and like he'll like put a doll and then he'll like try to provoke the spirits, like, oh yeah, he'll like talk shit to him, maybe like fuck you, and then he'll be like, oh yeah, why don't you get in this doll, let me clap them cheeks, bitch, and just like
what's he on, like Instagram?
I keep seeing him on Instagram, but I never paid attention to the handle because I just felt like it was reshared.
I want to do that. I want to be mean to haunted items. See what happens.
He just like was pretty brazen with it. I don't know. But I'd like to know, yeah, if it like actually follows you around and torments you. That would suck.
Yeah, that would suck. I'd be like, I'm sorry, Annabelle. Dude, I got to fly all the way to Vegas to apologize to a doll. So my life stops sucking.
Your hair falls out in a friar tuck pattern, and you just have a friar tuck haircut for the rest of your life.
I just have sores all over my body. People are like, "What's happening, buddy?" You have like, I'm like, "It's the doll."
I was rude to a doll.
I was rude to the doll, the haunted doll. The Bassano vase, number 3, a deadly wedding gift. This is one I've never heard of. I've heard of the first two. What is the Bassano vase? A silver vase dating back to the 15th century Italy, said to be cursed with death. Everyone who's ever dyed it, or everyone who's ever owned it, has died shortly after acquiring the vase. Its original owner in the 15th century was a young bride who received the vase as a wedding gift, but mysteriously found dead the same night, clutching the vase in her hands. It's an odd detail. I found a website here, Factscology. We don't know much about the woman who received the Bassano vase in the 15th century, other than her wedding taking place in a northern village close to Napoli. The stories say she didn't know who gifted the 4-pound silver base, but she took it to her room for safekeeping. Later, when the wedding was to start, she was nowhere to be found. Her husband-to-be searched for her and found her in her room, lying on the ground, clutching the vase with a fierce grip. Moments later, she was dead. After her funeral, the vase was given to one of her family members for safekeeping, but within days, also found dead. At the time, no one thought the vase was the cause of it, and it was given to another family member. Days later, they were dead. The family put it together and reached out to a priest for guidance. They believed whoever gifted the bride the vase put a curse on it, or had it made with cursed materials. They were instructed to bury it on sacred grounds. Many believed it was buried near the same church where the priest resided, but it's not exactly known where it was buried, as the vase didn't show up again for 500 years.
Oh.
In 1988, an unnamed man happens to dig up the vase in Italy, and within it he finds a note reading, "Beware this vase brings death." Why didn't they? The man ignores the note, tossing it away, bringing the vase to an auction house. As it's an antique, it sells quickly to the local pharmacist for 4 million lire, the equivalent to 2,000 euros or $2,200 today. 3 months later, the pharmacist is dead. His family sold the vase to a 37-year-old doctor. A few months later, he is dead. At this point, the vase starts gaining a reputation. No one is willing to purchase it except for a collector and archaeologist who gladly purchases it despite his family's wishes. Why would you buy this vase?
Why would you sell it despite your own wish?
3 months later, the archaeologist dies from an unknown mysterious infection. Distraught and afraid, the family of the archaeologist tosses the vase out of the window. But this is witnessed by a passing police officer. The officer attempts to bring the vase back to the family, but they refuse it, warning the officer to dispose of it quickly if he wishes to live. The officer attempts to give the vase to various museums, but each have already heard of the curse and refuse. With no other choice and fearing for his own life, the police officer places the vase in a lead box, buries it in a sacred ground of a cemetery. It's not known which cemetery buries in him, but since the vase has disappeared from history, no other reported sightings or death. Nobody has died since the vase.
That's a pretty good detective to know exactly,
yeah.
From the time he saw it thrown out the window of, I assume, a car, to the time he buried, he figured that all out.
Well, the family told him.
Oh, family told him all that.
Well, the family said, "You better get rid of it."
Yeah, but did they tell him to bury? Because earlier in the story, they're like, "Oh, you have to bury this on sacred ground," which is where it was found. 500 years later. So where did he find the story of the previous?
Right.
Who kept that record for
Right.
So
it could have been a local legend. It could have been ooh, there was this vase.
Yeah.
It's buried at this church. Here's what happened. And then somebody just dug it up. This is a wild one. We're actually going to do 5. The Curse of Thomas Busby's Chair of Death. There's a museum. This comes from Factology as well. There's a museum in North Yorkshire, England, filled with items telling stories of the local area, items stemming from generations past. They offer tours and an inviting staff that's more than happy to give you the history of their artifacts. A room showcasing farming life in the 30s and 40s sits a replica of a 19th century kitchen and a Victorian bedroom. But in a room on the first floor, there's a peculiar chair hanging from the wall. It's too high to ever be used, and there's a good reason for that. The reason is solely that it was the favorite chair of one man, Thomas Busby, a man who placed a curse on the chair, which is an odd thing to do, as he was hanged with murder. The reason for the murder was that somebody sat in Thomas Busby's favorite chair. Dude, these were just different times. These were just...
That's so cuckoo. I can't... I'm trying to imagine something that I own that if, like... This is like it's like the Step Brothers bit where it's like, don't touch my fucking drum set.
Yeah, he put a curse on the chair.
Cursed it, and it worked, apparently.
In 1702, Thomas Busby, known for being an upstanding gentleman, but in fact, not known for being upstanding, he was a drunk and a man with a short temper, never a good combination. While preparing for his latest crime with his father-in-law, an argument ensued. Both men separated to cool off, only to find each other again at a local pub later that evening. Unfortunately for the father-in-law, Daniel Oddie, he had chosen to sit in his son-in-law's favorite chair. The details are vague on whether there was another argument regarding this, but in the end, Busby forcibly removed Oddie from the chair, tossed him out of the pub. But for the man, I get it, it was his favorite seat at the bar. But for the man with a temper, this wasn't enough. Later that night, Busby planned an act of final revenge. Grabbing a hammer, he made his way to Oddie's home and bludgeoned him to death. Authorities found the body of Oddie, realized Busby was in charge of the gruesome murder. Busby was tried and convicted. His punishment was to be hung from the gallows. Prior to his hanging, Busby is heard shouting, cursing, and promising all those who would dare sit in his chair a violent death. The first reported case, 1894, a man visits a pub with his friends, drinking too much, and he took the last seat of his life on Busby's chair after leaving the pub. See, this is, and being too drunk to continue his journey home, he laid on the road to sleep. Yeah, that's definitely the chair. The next morning, he was found hanging from a post next to the same gallows where Busby was once hung. Many airmen during the Second World War dared each other to sit in the chair, knowing full well of the curse. Those who did, legend have it, never returned home. In 1968, 2 other airmen sat in the chair, some say for only a second, but that second they sealed their fates. On the way back to the airfield, they crashed into a tree, dying on the way to the hospital. Other stories, such as cleaning lady diagnosed with a brain tumor, cyclist and motorcyclist crashing and dying after sitting in the chair, exhausted hitchhikers, a man in his 30s dying from a massive heart attack, and from a group of builders. One took the dare to sit on the chair, later falling through the roof of a building. Some accounts attribute 60 kills to the chair. How's that for a sentence? This chair is on a kill streak. A delivery man in 1978 saw the chair in the cellar, decided to take a seat, saying the chair was too comfortable to be locked up. Shortly after leaving the pub, he too crashed and died. Well, these people are leaving a bar.
That was my thought. The brain tumor and maybe the heart attack at 30 are definitely chair kills.
Definitely that chair, yeah, got some kills.
One guy was laying in the road, but then he was strung up. That seems weird.
Yeah, that one is weird. Also, this bar, why did the bar just get another chair? Take this thing out back and burn it. It's killing your customers.
Well,
can you imagine being in a bar and they're like, don't sit in that chair. You'll die.
It's busy and you just got off work.
You're God damn it. It's the fucking Thomas Busby chair.
And then everyone else in the bar is like, come on, man, do it. You won't do it. You won't do it. All these drunk soldiers, they're like, you fucking pussy. You won't do it.
That was a little bit of a detour. This one is freaky. I don't like this. This is the Crying Boy painting. And I think this one scares me the most because it's a mass-produced painting.
Oh.
It's known as the Firestarter painting. The Crying Boy is a mass-produced painting from the 1950s featuring a sorrowful crying boy. Houses with the painting mysteriously catch fire, but the painting itself remains untouched. In 1985, there was a UK house fire. House burned down completely, but that Crying Boy painting was untouched. Firefighter accounts in the 80s claimed to find intact Crying Boy paintings in the rubble of numerous burned homes. The Sun newspaper was subject to a mass burn event. The UK newspaper The Sun received so many letters from scared owners that they organized a mass burning of the paintings.
That's such a strange thing.
That is so weird.
The mass burning, too. It's like... Okay, wait. Did it say how many? It just said... Enough to, like, create a
little bit urban legendy, yeah.
But, like, enough to do that. To, like... But then, like, okay, the skeptic in me is like, oh, it was a mass-produced paint. Also, why was it so popular? Why did people want this in their homes?
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
That is a weird thing to have in your home, a picture of a boy crying.
Yeah, and it's not like it's like a Van Gogh.
Yeah.
And or like, yeah, it's just like some guy painted a child who was crying and then everyone liked it. So they
I gotta get the crying boy.
And they started mass producing it, and then...
Honey, the house is gonna burn down. Yeah, but the painting will be fine.
We'll take down my live, laugh, love plank of wood and replace it.
This last one is freaky as all get out. A painting that moves. The hands resist him. A 1972 painting by Bill Stoneham showing a boy and a life-sized doll in front of a glass door filled with ghostly hands. People claim to see the figures move, change positions, or even step out of the frame. Check out this painting. I do not know likey. Notable cases. The original owner... Gallery in the 70s. The first couple to own it reported eerie sounds and claimed to see the fingers shifting at night. Oh my God. An eBay seller in the early 2000s. You can see that it lost value. It was in a gallery and then it's getting sold on eBay because the freaking hands move.
Yeah.
An eBay seller posted the painting for sale with a warning. His children allegedly saw the boy and doll move at night, and sometimes the boy would disappear. It now sits at a private gallery, but staff members refuse to display it due to its reputation. I gotta check out the Wikipedia. It was first displayed in Beverly Hills in the early 70s.
What's the name? The Hands Resist Him?
The Hands Resist Him.
That's such a creepy and ominous name anyway.
I know. Also, why... The children look so freaky, dude. That doll. Who paints this stuff, dude?
Well.
What? Wow. The painting sold for $1,025. We could own this painting. Stoneham recalls that both the owner and the gallery in which the painting was first displayed and the art critic who reviewed it died within 1 year of coming into contact with the painting. This is another, new painting in the series. He just couldn't be stopped. An individual who saw the story about the original painting contacted Stoneham in 2004 about commissioning a sequel. Stoneham accepted and painted Resistance at the Threshold, a sequel depicting the same characters 40 years later in the same style as the original. And also a second sequel, The Threshold of Revelation, completed in 2012. A third commission in 2017, The Hands Invent Him,
All right, who is him?
In 2021, Stonehand created what he says is the final painting in the series called What Remains. Him, I believe it's a picture of himself as a boy in front of the apartment building he grew up in.
Okay. If you said that, I missed it.
I didn't. I gotta see. There's a list of haunted paintings. We're gonna do a haunted painting show. Wow. Okay, well, there you have it, man. That's it. I'm throwing this list of haunted paintings in here. That'll be a whole thing eventually. All right, any final thoughts? I need to see this painting. I guess it's in the basement somewhere of a museum.
Okay. Well, okay, I asked ChatGPT. It said him is yes, him based on a photograph of him at age 5. The hands represent the unseen forces, spirits, or entities that influence our lives, symbolizing barriers between dreams and reality or between childhood and adulthood. Apparently in the painting, there are disembodied hands that are reaching out, which I didn't see.
They're there, and they move.
I did not see that. I thought it was talking about like the boy's hands or the doll's hands.
Well, apparently the boy disappears, so he runs off.
Yeah, I would too if I was haunted in a painting.
If I was
But
it's him.
In a painting. Yeah.
What's the deal with the doll? Man, okay. All right. Like and subscribe.
This was terrifying. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Check you later.